There were weapons and chanting, but no violence in Richmond, Virginia, where tens of thousands of gun rights advocates protested new gun control proposals. NBC News' Cal Perry was there.
Allison, that massive pro-gun rally that had everybody concerned, law enforcement, especially here in Virginia, people who live here in Richmond, has come and it has gone. And we did see a massive show of force from people carrying assault rifles, carrying pistols, carrying signs that said, "We will not disarm." Now, all of this is over new legislation that's being introduced in the State House behind me, keeping in mind, of course, that Virginia switched from being a Republican state to a Democratic state in the midterm elections. And people here, when you talk to them, they say that the laws that start in Virginia will spread around the country, which is why we saw so many people from outside Virginia bust in, people who came in from around the nation to come here to rally for gun rights. Many of those people left early. It is cold. They took buses home. That's partly why we didn't see any violence, because there were no counter demonstrations. It was really a one-sided affair. Now, one of the concerns that law enforcement had was fringe groups, right-wing extremist groups, potentially carrying out attacks. And they say that there were credible threats on today's march, which is why we saw arrests both in the state of Virginia and in the state of Georgia in just the past 24 hours. The other concern was that we could see a repeat of what happened in Charlottesville in 2017. Of course, Heather Heyer, civil rights activist, was killed when she was hit by a car. There was a concern that we could see that kind of violence here. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Militias did show up. We saw some of the same militias that were in Charlottesville in 2017. Those militias say they will continue to follow these laws. They will continue to demonstrate their rights. But again, thankfully, no violence, as it seems as though this gun rally has passed peacefully.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.